Well, hello. Thank you all for joining us today. You can see I have a guest with me. This is Lori Hinscock from Ruoff Mortgage. We're talking about relationships in real estate. We have so many different relationships that need to be cultivated, and they are very important, integral parts of the transaction. And as I always say, this is the money lady.
I bring the wheelbarrow of money and dump it in the back.
You bring the wheelbarrow, but I have the money piece in order to make a transaction work. So this is Lori Hinscock again, and she's a veteran senior loan officer at Ruoff Mortgage. We've had a relationship for quite a few years, and and part of the reason I'm so drawn to you is because you're organized, you are communicative. We always communicate with each other. I hate to be in a transaction and not know what is happening, with the transaction.
Well, for a home buyer, a realtor, anyone in the process, this is stressful for everybody. A home purchase sale is stressful. So as much as we can be on the same page and letting everybody know where things are, it just helps reduce the stress for everybody. So yeah, it's important to me just to, even sometimes I'll contact a client to say, hey, I've got nothing to tell you. But I haven't forgotten you in the last couple of days, and I'm still, we're just still where we were.
Absolutely.
It reduces the stress.
Absolutely. And that is so important because there's a lot of stress in the buying process. Yeah. Well, Lori, how long have you been a loan officer?
Since I was born. I was a monopoly. I was always the banker.
Last year.
No, it's been 17 years now. I know that because my youngest was a baby when I started it. So that's, I can always tell he's 17 now. It was 17 years. And I've been with Ruoff for the last 8 years. Love Ruoff so very much. It is like the kind of, our company only does mortgages. And that's different for me. I used to work at banks that would do checking accounts, savings accounts, car loans, whatever. But all Ruoff does is mortgages. So we do it so well. We just focus on making it excellent at them. And it's great. I love this company. I love this job.
Very good. And I agree because I've also worked with Michael.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yes, he is. He wasn't there when I worked with him the first time. Yeah. And then he moved over, to Ruoff as, the VP. And so, and I had the same experience, just wonderful. And so would you say a key to having a good relationship with a loan officer is good communication?
Oh, absolutely. And for everybody involved, but especially for the buyer, because for most buyers, well, a lot of them, it's the first time they've done it. And even if it's not the first time they bought, it's probably been a while. So they don't remember how it goes. They don't know what to expect. They don't know what the next step is. And it makes anxiety on top of all the anxiety that comes with, did I pick the right house? Did I do the right timing? All that type of thing. So communicating and asking questions and getting answers that make sense to you, very important in this process.
How are things going? I mean, are sales slowing down? Are they picking up? How are things going?
It's different. It certainly is different. I'm personally seeing that people who were already looking for homes are continuing to look for homes, most of them. Unless something changed, they were laid off or something like that. Most of them are continuing to. But what I am noticing is people who normally would start looking right around now are not. Okay. And I think that's temporary. I think that is a logical reaction to let's wait and see what's going to happen here. And then once this resolves and in a couple weeks, couple months, whatever, life starts getting back to normal, the people who would have been looking now are going to be like, hey, the Fed funds rate dropped to near zero not too long ago. So many people are like, oh, rates are zero. I want zero.
Right.
The funds rate, that's not the mortgage rate. And those two are not related. The Fed funds rate is the rate that banks lend money to each other. When they're like doing credit cards, home equity lines, things like that, and they're like, oh, we're a little short. I'm going to borrow from another bank. And that's how that's short-term money that banks lend to each other. That is not long-term money, which mortgages are. Mortgages are a very different animal. The money for those comes from investors who buy mortgage-backed securities. And those investors are nervous right now. They're understandably nervous right now with mortgages because with so many people being off work, with so many people living paycheck to paycheck normally, they know there's going to be a higher default rate on mortgages in the next several months to several years because of this slack that people have had to their economics, their personal economics. So mortgage rates they're good. I mean, they vary person to person, but they're in the 3s or 4s, depending on what's going on right now. But they're not super like crazy low because, the investors are nervous.
Okay, that makes sense to me. But now here's the other question too is, from what I understand, and I actually called you to clarify this for one of my clients, some banks have actually dropped FHA and VA products.
Yeah.
Now, to me, that's pretty sad because the people that can qualify for VA and FHA are the ones that are still, working, like maybe like transportation or, ones
they're
that
essential.
the essential worker, nurses, they're still working, and yet they're in that price range that are, FHA qualified usually. Why are they doing it?
I can explain why it's happening, and I think we're going to see a bit more of it. So it's good to understand the why. I just mentioned how the investors who buy the mortgage-backed securities are concerned about defaults, and so they're more cautious right now on buying the mortgage-backed securities. Well, FHA loans are typically used by people who need a little extra flexibility in financing. Either their credit score is growing. It's not where they want it to be yet, but it's getting there. Or maybe their bills are a little higher than others, but they can afford it, or their employment's newer. There's some reason they need flexibility. FHA offers that flexibility. So it's a good option for that. But right now, investors who are buying mortgage-backed securities are already nervous about defaults. They don't necessarily want to buy more mortgage-backed securities supported by loans with people who need flexibility, who have credit challenges in the past, who have higher bills. So the appetite for the investors and the servicers for those type of loans are very small. It's hard for people on our side to do those loans because if we can't sell them, if we can get the money back, we can't do that. It's not viable. That's what's driving this right now. A lot of people on the front end are having to go to higher credit scores or having to stop it entirely just because we can't sell it to the investors currently. I think this is short term. I truly believe that once we get to the other side of this and we can get a better feel for what the default increase is really going to be from this, the appetite will come back for FHA, VA, and USDA. It's just right now we have to kind of shut that down a little more than we want to, because the servicers just don't have the appetite for it.
So with that being said, the stimulus package that's been talked about, aren't those kind of loans federally backed anyway? I mean, if there's a default, then the federal government actually pays these lenders?
The stimulus package only has loans for businesses, though. It's not a consumer side. They're giving money to consumers, to people. But the loans that they're talking about are for companies.
I see. Okay.
Now, there was supposed to be language in there to help the servicers, the ones who we would transfer to. And they were counting on that, and we were counting on that. When the final plan came down, no one's finding that language in there. So the servicers are still trying to figure out, is there some support for us? Is there some, something that's going to prop us up? Because they're really shaky right now with what's going on. And we need them to not be shaky. They're vital to the mortgage industry.
Absolutely. Or you're going to see, I hope not, but 2008 again,
Yeah. The mortgage industry is too big to collapse. I mean, it will find a way, but there may be some shrinking of what's done for a period of time until we get stable again.
Okay. Well, what would you tell people to start doing even now to prepare for the time when things are on an upswing?
Yeah, there are some really important things that people should be doing. And the biggest one is to protect their credit score. And when I'm saying credit score, I'm not saying all bills. I'm saying specifically the credit score. Because if and when someone wants to buy, that credit score is going to matter. And if they have things go late right now that are current 6 months from now, that past late is still going to show. So this is what they need to be aware of. Not everything reports in the credit score. Things like car loans do, student loans, credit cards, and mortgages, those do. Water bills, electric bills, cell phone, those kind of things don't report in the credit score unless they've gotten past due to the point of going to collections. So if you're playing that juggling game of like, I can't pay everybody this month, pay the credit card, the car payment, student loan, the mortgage, get late on the electric, get late on the cable, get late on the phone, whatever. Those things don't report. So those are get late on and catch back up, and it won't hurt your credit score.
Very good point.
Another is late payments is counted as 30 days late. So you have a little time. If the credit card is due on the 5th and you're like, I can't pay it yet, but you can pay it on the 30th or the 2nd, just don't let it get to the 15th month. If you pay it any time before that 30 days when it was due, it won't report late on your credit score. So don't be like, oh, I'll just catch it before next, even a week before, and it will protect your credit score.
Okay, thank you. That is very helpful. Now, here's one.
I know this stuff.
Yeah, you do. You are really good. I already know you're good. That's why I invited you on here. You know what I've learned is to let people do what they do. You know, I let them do what they do. Now, I can put this on the table. I used to be a loan officer, but I knew then, just like I know now, things change so quickly that, you know, you have to stay up on the industry. Otherwise, you'll be talking about things that happened, you know, 6 months ago. You know, so I do realize that, but that helps me because when I have a client that is like, well, you know, I gave them my paperwork and they still haven't approved me yet. I'm like, dude, it's got to go to an underwriter. You know, it's not your loan officer.
Yeah, it can take some time.
Yeah, they've got to approve it, and then, you know, and they're going to stipulate it. And this is the way I explain it. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but I explain it like this. I said, when they send it to the underwriters, if they don't find something wrong, they're not doing their job.
That's what I say too. It's their job to cross every eye. They look at everything, and if they come back and they send me, they say it's completely clean, I think they're disappointed. They're like, dang it, job to find something.
I know. So that's what I tell them. I said, you know what, just expect some tips or stipulations that you'll have to meet. Yeah. And then, you know, when it comes, just be ready to jump through the hoops. I try to jump through the hoops quickly.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
You know, to get it done. But I think, and maybe you tell me, I think it would help if realtors understood a little bit better about the loan process themselves, because I don't think that most understand the process. And so it makes the relationship with a loan officer and a realtor, it makes it a little, you know, I should say static sometimes, because I don't think of us understand the process and what's needed, and we want to, you know, hurry up, and then we have to wait, you know. So,
and it's important to know too that not every lender has the same process. That's one thing that at my current place I very much like, that at my last place I didn't so much. Some lenders will wait until absolutely everything that they need is in before they will review, and then they'll have some, like you mentioned, and then they'll wait till everything is in then again before they send it back. Well, that's okay, but what if some of the things that came in now create more things that are needed? You know how that can work. They're waiting and not looking at it until everything's there, then they've wasted some time potentially. No, we want to do as much up front just so we can be done and go. I know it's closing for 2 weeks, but we're good, we're ready.
Okay.
That makes it.
Well, good. And that's the point I'm looking for, is to see how, as realtor and loan officer, as our buyer and loan officer, we can make our relationship a little better so that the transaction will go smooth. Yeah. Now I have one last question. What would make you drop a buyer? Have you ever had to? And if so, what has made you have to say, you know what, that's it, I'm done, you know?
It's really rare. It is really rare, but I have done it. And it's not as much because of me as much as because for them. Really, it's relationship. You had mentioned it's a relationship, and there needs to be a trust and a mutual respect in the relationship. So if there is a client, they trust the internet more than they trust me. In that, they're like, well, I Googled it, it said this, and I Googled it, it said that for a period of time. I truly do. We all Google, try to get the answer. I mean, doctors have got to hate the internet because we're like, I know what's wrong with me, doc. I got cancer. You know, and they're like, no, you don't have cancer. But after a period of time, buyer, we build trust. We talk, we learn each other. They get answers to their questions. And if there still is a sense that they don't trust me, that they think I'm trying to take advantage of them or mislead them or rip them off, and some people just have that distrust, then it's not a right fit for them or me.
Okay.
They need to be working with somebody that they can have a relationship with. It's not transactional. As you mentioned, somebody buying a house is one of the biggest financial steps they're going to make in their entire life. They need to feel safe and comfortable with the them. If they feel like they have to constantly be on guard and that person is not trustworthy and that's not somebody they can rely on, then they should find someone they can. And and if it's not me, then go with God. That's okay. I want to be a trusted advisor to my clients.
Very good. Well, wow, I really appreciate that answer. You know, I was, in my mind too, I'm thinking, I remember people would, they would actually lie and say they're making this amount of money or they have this kind of, and then the paperwork would come back and I'm like, dude, you're not even making a third of that. What did you think? And they think you're not going.
And I've had my share of liars. I had one recently tell me he was still working when he wasn't. And, it wasn't like a mistake. He knew. But even things like that, I don't like it, but I get it. I get the stress and the anxiety and the worry and then we got to own it and we can keep moving forward.
Okay. Okay, well, great. Well, thank you so much, Lori. I appreciate you talking to me and answering some of the questions for myself and our viewers. And I am sure we'll see each other across the table in a little bit. Okay, well, thanks again, and you have a great day, and we'll be in touch, okay? And the same for—
All right, thanks.
Yeah, and again, that's Lori from Ruoff Mortgage. I will have her contact information at the bottom of this video. And again, if you enjoyed what you saw today, then subscribe and hit that little bell. You can always call me. I'd be happy to follow up or refer you. So you all have a great day.